What is going on with World Liberty Financial? The WLFI token continues to underperform the rest of the altcoin market. The question is, who is selling here? Let's have a look at the on-chain data, the data most people aren't considering. Does it potentially make sense to buy this bottom now? Because crypto is all about buying low, selling high. WLFI currently is low. Now have a look at this chart. This is World Liberty Financial divided by the others market cap. So the market cap of all the altcoins that are not in the top 10. Since launch, we more or less consistently underperformed so far by 46%. And yes, there are some short-term rallies every now and then, but there also seems to be consistent selling pressure. The token is doing worse compared to the rest of the altcoin market. And the source of that selling is not obvious at all, because the number of circulating tokens is steady. There were 0 token unlocks since launch. Now the project did raise a lot of money from various investors. It also had an ICO, and some people that got into that ICO are multiple X in profit. Maybe some of those people are now taking that profit. What is somewhat concerning is that the interest in the project seems to be declining over time. And here is why I say this. I've published several videos on the asset before. The first one 48 days ago, and that video outperformed the average video by quite a bit. The average video is here in gray, and that first World Liberty Financial video is the line in blue. So a lot of outperformance, way more people viewed that video. Another video followed. Here the outperformance was already less. Here's another video, and another one, and another one, and another one. It seems now that it's mainly search traffic that's driving views on the recent videos. So people doing active research rather than the token getting promoted on the landing pages of YouTube. Now there is a case to be made that World Liberty Financial has a hard time appreciating because the meme coin of Donald Trump is constantly underperforming. In other words, there's some reputation that might have been burnt within the crypto space. The underperformance of the Trump meme coin is extremely constant. This is Trump relative to the others market cap. So again, how is this particular altcoin doing within the altcoin market? So far, Trump has underperformed the rest of the altcoins by 38%. There are some breakouts every now and then, but the trend itself is very clear. But for the Trump meme coin, we do know why this is happening. Here the supply is growing very constantly. It went from 200 million all the way to 360 million in the span of just a few months. So almost a doubling of the supply, which then of course causes the price to underperform. But World Liberty Financial does not have that effect of token dilution. So let's have a look at the on-chain metrics in more detail. There are 3 versions of WLFI. We've got one on Ethereum. Here there are 80,000 holders. We've got another version on Solana. Here we've got 27,000 holders. And another version on the Binance Smart Chain with 12,000 holders. It's interesting that the Binance Smart Chain version has the least number of holders, even though the stablecoin that's promoted by World Liberty Financial, USD1, is mainly backed through an investment of Binance and through the Binance Smart Chain. What we see over here is the number of holders, the number of retail investors on the left, the number of whales on the right. So the left chart shows the number of wallets that have at least $10,000 worth of WLFI. In the middle, it's $10,000. On the right, it's $100,000. This is all on the Ethereum chain. It shows the last 30 days, and the number of all of those wallet cohorts tended to decline. Here are the same minimum holding thresholds for the Solana chain. So again, retail, medium-sized retail, and the whales. Not really a lot of change recently, except maybe the number of whales went up in the last few days. But really, this doesn't really move the needle that much, because on Solana, we've only got 20 whales versus more than 300 on Ethereum. Here are the same metrics for the Binance Smart Chain. Again, not that many whales over here. And while the number of retail investors is going up on the Binance Smart Chain, is still very small in absolute terms, right? More than 10,000 holders on Ethereum versus only a bit over 200 on the Binance Smart Chain. So really, the trends on Ethereum are the ones that matter. And so the holder trends do align somewhat with the price development. But there's another factor that impacts the price, and that's the derivatives, that's the levered bets on the price, the perpetual futures market. Because at least in the short term, the perps do have a massive impact. In the last 24 hours, we only saw 10 million worth of trading volume on the spot market on Binance. Compare this with the perpetual futures market. Here we had 58 million. So roughly 6 times the size in terms of trading volume. Most perpetual futures traders tend to bet on rising prices. The longs have to pay the shorts, and this is very natural. This happens for most altcoins. The trading volume on the perps is declining. This is, by the way, also an effect that we see on the Ethereum chain. The number of new users tends to go down over time. And you might remember that 10 days ago, there was this massive shakeout driven by the perpetual futures. Now, many altcoins recovered since that shakeout. A lot of longs for WLFI got liquidated. But interestingly enough, the price of World Liberty Financial was not able to catch up again. The amount of bets on the price are at an all-time low. And this is actually a positive thing, because there is positive correlation between the price and open interest. As in, when there's more people betting on the price goes up. When there's less people betting on the price tends to go down. So there is direct speculative capital in assets. When more people enter, this is supporting for the price. And so I think there's a good chance that in the next days or maybe weeks, we will see an announcement again. Maybe the launch of a new product, maybe the borrowing and lending platform, maybe the exchange, maybe the WLFI app. Because yes, there are a lot of insiders in the project that might be dumping, but they don't want to dump at all-time lows, right? They want to get some kind of exit liquidity. And since there's currently so little interest, a bit of news could push up the price quite heavily. But then, of course, long term, we know this is an asset in a highly competitive space, and the early investors do want to cash out at some point. Of course, it is a risky play to buy WLFI now. What I'm doing is I'm waiting for this rally. Once there is a positive announcement around the project and we suddenly rally by 20, 30, 40%, then I might consider entering a short position. Because I want to have the long-term trend in my favor. I rather bet on falling than on rising prices of the project, but right now is not the best entry for a short. Again, because interest is already at a very low level, and we want to rather bet on falling prices when open interest is very high, when a lot of people talk about a token. Now, there are different ways to interpret the current market situation. What we see over here is a long-term chart of the stablecoin market cap. This starts in 2022. We had the Terra Luna collapse over here, where then the market tended to shrink until October of 2023. So the stablecoin market cap went down by 27%. But since then, this chart is going up. Now, when the stablecoin market cap is going up, that means people are moving their funds from the fiat ecosystem, from traditional finance, into crypto. People are sending their hard-earned cash, say, to Binance. Binance sends it over to a stablecoin custodian. The stablecoin custodian is buying bonds. The stablecoin custodian is making money via interest, issues the stablecoins, and the stablecoin issuance can be seen in this chart. So whenever this is going up, money is getting into the space. And that means crypto prices should, as per tendency, rather go up. How much should they go up? Have a look at this here. In red, we see the crypto market cap except the stablecoins. So all the cryptos, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all these smaller cryptocurrencies. And of course, they tended to go up since the stablecoin market cap increased, but they went up more, right? 270%, while the stablecoin market cap went up only by 130%. But there is a catch here. I don't necessarily think that most cryptocurrencies will grow faster than the stablecoin market cap. Because here's the thing, there's not just the stablecoin market cap, there's also the degree to how much those stablecoins are getting deployed. Some people might just transfer their stablecoins to Binance, hold that in their wallet, and then wait for a while until they actually buy altcoins with it. The trading from stablecoins into risk on volatile cryptos and from volatile cryptos back into risk of stablecoins, that's actually what causes the short-term fluctuations in the market. Because obviously the stablecoin market cap is going up much more smoothly than the prices. And that is because of stablecoin deployment. Now this here is the stablecoin dominance, and it trades between 5% and 9% of all of crypto. Have a look at this yellow circle here. This is when the stablecoin market cap tended to turn around, when there's more money flowing into the system. So from that point to today, we have seen the stablecoin dominance go down. So the market as a whole got more risk on. There's less dry powder on the side now than there used to be in October of 2023. When we actually compare 2 points where the stablecoin dominance was very equal, then we are getting a different picture. So this red circle over here is the same time with that red circle over here. And so the stablecoin market cap went up by 128% since the beginning of 2024, while the stablecoin market cap went up by 115%. So the growth rates are extremely similar. When the stablecoin market cap goes up by 10%, then crypto prices on average should also go up by 10%, maybe slightly more. But there might as well be zero difference if we just come a little bit more down in the crypto market cap. So really, the two growth rates are very similar. We have to work with how quickly the stablecoin market cap is expanding. And so how quickly is it expanding? In the last 12 months, it went up by 65%. In other words, if we don't see any systemic implosion, if we don't see something like the FTX collapse or the Terra Luna implosion, if the market continues to expand, then we should work with a growth rate of 64-65% per annum from here across all of crypto. That's how fast the stablecoin market cap is going up, and it's doing that expansion at a quiet, consistent rate. Now then we have to wonder, if we are in a bull market since October of 2023 and we are expanding at roughly 65% per annum, does this also mean that it's warrants to get more risk on, to potentially buy more altcoins and potentially sell Bitcoin? Let's have a look at the altcoin performance since October of 2023 relative to Bitcoin. This point in time over here, this circle equates to this point in time over here. This is now total 3 ES, so the altcoin market cap minus the stablecoins relative to Bitcoin. So how did the altcoin market cap do relative to Bitcoin? And it actually went down. Bitcoin outperformed during this expansionary period. The altcoin market cap went down by 17%. The problem is that this chart is even underrepresenting of how bad the altcoins did. This here is much more representative. Remember, the stablecoin market cap went up by 65% in the last year. This is the performance of the smaller altcoins in the last year. Most of them went down. They did not on average appreciate by 65% or maybe a bit less than that, let's say 50%, because of this underperformance. The price performance seems to be much, much worse. And the reason for that underperformance is token unlocks. So early investors and the team and insiders, consultants, etc., they get token allocations over time. They get vesting periods and they can then sell those tokens. There are various pages describing the situation. This is coinmarketcap.com/token unlocks. We can see how there are several unlocks across many different cryptocurrencies. So let's say a cryptocurrency is at 1 million tokens, and then come all of those vesting unlocks. All the insiders get access to newly minted tokens. The supply goes from 1 million to 2 million. Then maybe the price gets cut in half, but the supply has doubled. The market cap of that altcoin is unchanged. But everybody that bought the altcoin, they lost 50%. So the insiders dump on the retail investors. And that effect is not seen in market cap comparisons. That's why we cannot use the others dominance or the total 3 dominance or even the Bitcoin dominance. The Bitcoin dominance should be much higher, as in if we just compare prices, not necessarily market caps. Let's have a look at a few of those altcoins here. Minus 99.5% over here, minus 99.9% over here. This went up initially, but from the top of 30 cents, this also crashed massively to 2 cents, because probably that's when the people started to sell. Then we've got here minus 56%. Over here, minus 61%, ApeCoin. And this is much more in line with this picture over here, right? Charts like this. Let's actually have a look at ApeCoin in a bit more detail. This is the number of circulating ApeCoin over time. We started at 284 million and now went up all the way to 940 million. So the supply more than 3x'd. And who got those tokens? Again, it's the insiders that dump on the project. They take the money. And so the straightforward approach would just be to bet on falling prices of most altcoins, especially on the altcoins that tend to have a rising supply. So when ApeCoin goes down, let's just bet on falling prices and get this return instead. The problem is that we do have a lot of volatility here. This is a crash of 74%. So betting on falling prices can also be a problem if there is positive news and we see a temporary rally in the price. But we can mute this risk somewhat. Because one of the reasons why sometimes those short positions can also be dangerous is because the market as a whole might go up. When Bitcoin goes up, when Ethereum goes up, then most altcoins go up as well. So really what we are interested in is the ApeCoin performance relative to Bitcoin. This is now Bitcoin divided by ApeCoin, and this is much less volatile. This only dropped by a bit over 50%. Have a look at the volatility of this chart versus this chart. Isn't it much better to invest in this instead of into this? All of those drops here were just the market itself going up. It was not ApeCoin doing particularly well. This, by the way, is a logarithmic scale. On a linear scale, this looks much more juicy. This is how we make money in crypto. And this is a very uncommon approach, right? Most people, they try to find the next hidden gem. They buy an altcoin portfolio. They have maybe 10, 20 altcoins. Try to find the next thing that does another 10 or 100x. But I don't think that's the best way to go about this. Do you really want to find a winner in a market that looks like this? Do you really want to scan the market and find the next wallet token that makes 53%, where at the same time Bitcoin doubled? I don't think so. I think it's much better to turn everything that's red on this chart to green and everything that's green on this chart, which isn't much, into red. I'm following this approach already for the last 4 years, and had I just dollar cost average into Bitcoin, I would have gotten the performance here in light gray. But because I also bet on falling altcoin prices, I got the performance here in black. It's a constant outperformance. It's not about finding the next 100x luck shot. And so I'm talking about the strategy in more detail in the premium membership of this channel. Here are a few trades that our members have shared that shorted various altcoins with high token inflation. And I made several videos on the topic as well. Now, you don't have to watch everything over here. There's only 2 very important videos using perpetual futures to bet on relative valuations and risk management with relative valuation bets. Risk management is extremely important. Here's the first video, it's 34 minutes. Here's the second video, it's 28 minutes. And the reason why I say risk management is so important is because there is a lot of volatility within the perpetual futures market as well. And if you don't know how to handle leverage properly, if you don't know how to do proper position sizing, then you will lose your funds. You will not make this kind of returns. The recent shakeout in the market actually helped us. It was one of the best weeks we've ever had. We made 10% on our copy trading capital pool. Now, once you've joined Premium and you've watched the 2 videos, I will share my favorite trade with you. It's something like ApeCoin, but better. If you don't make money with that trade when holding it for 1 month, then I will refund the membership fee for you. So really, you're not risking that money. You're not risking the 125 US dollars. If you're not making money with the trade that I'm sharing, I'll just send that money back. No questions asked. Now, I've talked about this trading pool over here. This was a project launched in July of this year. Again, where we were following relative valuation trades. Everybody that got in this is already up 19%, where at the same time, Bitcoin lost 9%. Now, unfortunately, this capital pool is already closed. But if you're part of the annual members, you will get access to the next pool in January of next year. Feel free to check out the tutorial video of the last trading pool. Again, it's an approach to bet on charts like this without having to execute the trades yourself. I simply just trade for you. I'm of course sharing all my trades to every member, but if you want to become part of this project, then you can also consider joining up for the annual membership. So that's over here. You're also saving $250 per year doing so. But you can simply start off with the monthly membership and then switch over to yearly afterwards. A link to Premium pops up directly here on the screen. Just click on that. It will lead you to the website. If it's the very first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish this regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you in Premium. Cheers!